Ladies and gentlemen, it's me, Jim. How's it going? I'm back again to discuss, in a very serious capacity, a video game for children and the long-term implications of Pikachu turning into a gemstone. We're here to talk about Terastallize again. Yes, we are again. Because, folks, I don't know what to think anymore. I don't know if I've changed my mind, but I'm torn on what to vote for now. Previously, if you guys didn't know, there's a suspect vote in a couple days regarding the fate of Terastallization. The community can vote on it if you reach certain requirements on the Gen 9 ladder, which I have. I previously was in the camp of outright banning the mechanic completely, thinking it was unhealthy, it was broken, it pushed many Pokemon over the edge into dominance. However, I watched today a YouTube video from Pokemon YouTuber Blunder about the issue. And Blunder believes that no action should be taken on Terastallize. He believes that it's a fine mechanic, or at least, not that it's a fine mechanic, but that we need more time to evaluate it, and at this stage we can't say whether or not it should be outright banned. It's too early, basically. And I'd like to go over many of the points from that video. Video was a discussion between Blunder, CBB, and Pokemon about the issue. I also watched Freezeye's video on the issue, and that was a very good video, very in-depth. I recommend checking that one out. This one's a bit more off the cuff. Freezeye's one was more in-depth, detailed. Anyway, folks, the first point I want to address is the fact that the metagame is changing rapidly, and we kind of have no idea what's good yet. This hasn't been enough time. I previously disagreed with this sentiment. I thought that, like, we can clearly see that Terastallize is broken in many regards. It is forcing many unhealthy interactions, 50-50 situations, pushing Pokemon over the edge, enhancing their stab or coverage, or giving them a good defensive type. Whatever. However, that's not really true, is it? The example from that Blunder used was Espathra. A week ago, Espathra was public enemy number 1. Everyone was saying Espathra is literally uncountable. This emu is, honestly, it's like the Australian emu war all over again. We cannot defeat the emus. They're too speedy. They're going to kill us. They have stored power, calm mind. They can Terra Fighting to defeat their only answer, steel types. How do you beat that? Well, to be honest, in theory, like, you can't really check Espathra. It snowballs. It has coverage for anything that can hit it. However, in practice, it's a bit slow-paced for the metagame. It requires multiple turns to set up and become the snowball emu beast. And in fact, you know, I can go to like Tinglu, Whirlwind it out, and it can't do enough damage with Dazzling Gleam or Terra Fighting yet to really be a problem. There's so many prio moves, there's so many offensive beasts. Like, the metagame is so fast-paced. It's hard for Espathra to actually get a second to get itself going. So we have realized that Espathra is a bit slow for the metagame. It can't really... It's not actually as insane and dominant and crazy as we initially thought it was when it was first starting to become popular. So, and who knows what the hell else is going to happen. Like, I will admit that I don't have a great sense of, like, what's good and what's not in the metagame right now. I have stuff that I'm succeeding with. Like, I really love, you know, Tinglu. I think Tinglu is amazing right now. I like something like Rotom Wash. I feel like is a really solid anti-meta Pokemon at the moment. Scizor feels really good to me. Great Tusk is super solid on everything, but there's still stuff to explore. There's still stuff to... Like, is Cyclizar as broken as we initially thought? Is maybe Revival Blessing is not actually that crazy? Right now, Revival Blessing doesn't feel that bad, because Pawmot itself is kind of a... Once again, a slow-paced Pokemon in the metagame. You're dedicating the slot to, like, resurrecting stuff isn't actually as powerful as it seems, and Pawmot itself is not the strongest Pokemon in the world. It's good, it has its place, but... You know, initially I heard the idea of Revival Blessing. I was like, what the hell? You can revive a Pokemon? That is going to be crazy. But in practice, it's not that bad. Like, it's not actually as broken as we think. Gen 9 is a new world. Everything has risen by like 10 places. The power creep is ridiculous. So we need time for all of it to stabilize and actually understand what the hell is happening. What even is good? Espathra, if you told me about Espathra last year, I would have been like, that's the #1 Pokemon of all time. But everything else is powerful too. We don't actually know what the hell's happening. So I think that's a valid point. I think it's a valid point. Another point is that the flexibility of Terastallize and the decision making of when to use the resource of Terastallize in a game and the different ways you can use it adds nuance and strategy to the game. Which is true, to be honest. That is true. I think that, you know, on my run to what's it called? Suspect requirements, there were many games where, you know, a tactical use of Terastallize saved me from the brink of death, where it's like a comeback mechanic sometimes, or knowing how to use the resource better than your opponent does can put you at an advantage and bring you back from the brink sometimes. You know, there's that game where I Terastallized the Great Tusk at the perfect moment to get a rapid spin to then clean or whatever. I don't know. It's not always as many of the uses of Terastallize are very straightforward is the thing. And Terastallize basically serves to like enhance any Pokemon. I will say that there's an argument that Terastallize is creating this insanely diverse metagame where anything in the world is viable. All these bad Pokemons are good now. I don't think that's really true. I think that Terastallize enhances everything equally. It makes broken Pokemon better. It makes bad Pokemon better. There's some Pokemon that get a lot out of it. There's some Pokemon that don't get as much out of it. Like, you probably don't want to Terastallize with Cyclizar. Cyclizar is not going to want to Terastallize, but if you want to, you can Terastallize with Skeledirge, and that Pokemon gets way more out of it. You know, becoming Fairy type, huge boost. It keeps its previous stab. Annihilate is another example. Like, the question is the meta centering around Terastallize a good thing or a bad thing? I think that there's some situations where it is annoying. I will say that the decision-making of when to use Terastallize is satisfying and fun. Terastallize becomes annoying when it forces these 50-50 situations, and they argued in the video that many things in Pokemon force 50-50 situations. There could be simple 50-50 between, they could have this item or this item, and whichever guess is right on my end decides the game. Or like Z moves in Gen 7. Depending on what Z move they have, it's a 50-50. When are they going to use the Z move? Some like pivotal turn. They use the Z move or they don't. It's 50-50. Yeah, I guess. This is one that I don't really know how to evaluate, because that's true, but at the same time, it feels different with Terra, where something like, for example, Volcarona, I'm in a position where I can either use a ground move, or like, not a ground move, a water move against Volcarona, or I can predict that it's going to Terra Grass and use an ice move, for example. What do I do? That is just a straight up 50-50 that can decide the game, because Volcarona gets a Quiver Dance out of it. That is kind of annoying and kind of... And many people would argue, well, that's a skill issue. You need to predict what they're going to do. You know, maybe them using the resource of Terastallize, like you can counter Terastallize. My Terastallize isn't always equal to their Terastallize. It doesn't always, like, exactly even out, where once they Terra, I can then Terra back and beat them. Sometimes something like Volcarona can secure an advantage off one Terra. And me, like, I know that they could Terra. I know perfectly well, like, okay, if Volcarona is in, they obviously have Terra Grass, probably, you know, or maybe Terra Water or something. Usually it's Terra Grass. Like, I just have to guess if they're going to do it or if they're not. And that doesn't feel like a nuanced, deep interaction. That just feels like flipping a coin. Sometimes, you know, sometimes it does feel awesome with Terra in the game. But sometimes it feels annoying. But I guess you could say the same about, like, Z moves. Sometimes they're annoying. Sometimes they allow a Pokemon to, like, I don't know. Heatran has a one-time use Grassium Z with Solar Beam. It's a waste of a move slot on Heatran otherwise, but they have a one-time big grass attack that they can use on like a water type that would otherwise completely counter them, but then they can just randomly nuke it and kill it. Like, that's kind of, in a way, that's kind of stupid, right? I don't know. But also, it's like they just have that nuclear option that they can use whenever. There's clues you can use to deduce whether their Heatran has that based on how they're playing. Are they not scared of my water type? They probably have grass EMZ. Let me do this. Okay. Maybe it does need more time. Like, I don't know. I will say something I dislike about Terra is that it skews the game more towards the OP types. I think the typing is like a big part of the balance of Pokemon and the identity of Pokemon. Like something like Volcarona being Bugfire has defined it for like the longest time. The fact that it's Bugfire, you know, it's great offensively. It has such a good offensive stab types. It's got Quiver Dance. It's got Flame Body. It's got all these great traits. It even has Boots since Gen 8. And then now it can become a grass type, resist everything, and gain stab on Giga Drain. That just feels crazy. Like, it's kind of crazy. Or, you know, Skeledirge becoming Fairy type. To me, like, a Pokemon becoming Water, Fairy, Steel, these OP defensive types, that is not interesting gaming. That is, like, annoying. Where, like, okay, you're Garganical, right? Garganical, Mono Rock, not the world's greatest defensive type, but it makes up for it with all its other great qualities. Its amazing ability. Salt Cure is really good. Iron Defense, Body Press. Whatever, it's got hazards. Like, Garganical has a lot of great traits. It could have a better typing, but Mono Rock is fine on it. But the fact that it can become Fairy type is like, okay, come on. You know, like you are supposed to be Rock. That's kind of like what defines you. And now, you know, it's like you just became Clefable, or it's like I'm playing against Clefable, but it's wearing a mask with a Garganical in front of it or something. You know, a Pokemon just becoming like Steel, Water, Fairy. That's the most boring use of Terra to me in terms of playing against it, because it's like, okay, you just became like what? Something being annoying or me not liking it doesn't necessarily mean it should be banned or it's too powerful. But that's kind of like, that is the usage of Terra that I dislike the most, that I think is the most kind of like, and to be honest, okay, to be honest with you, Terra, I don't think is the most well-designed mechanic. I feel like they came up with the idea of Terra in like 5 minutes. They were like, what if you could just become a different type? You keep your stabs. I feel like, you know, when they thought of Megas, they fleshed it out. They were like, it's tied to an item slot. They have to design individual Megas for each Pokemon and stuff. Like, that was a meatier thing design-wise. Terra, I feel like, isn't as fleshed out as that. It's kind of, it feels lazy design. And I don't know. Even though I don't love it, I kind of like it in some regards, and I maybe don't necessarily think it needs to be banned anymore. Maybe I've sort of come around to the other side of, we need to wait and see. We need to test it and do the due diligence of like, this is not like Dynamax where it was broken, obviously, it needs to go. Like, this is the stupidest mechanic of all time. This one is like, it actually is adding stuff to the game. It is. I always wish that they would focus on different things in the design, but whatever. They got to make the game about some gimmicky new mechanic every time because that sells games or whatever. I don't know. Maybe that's a cynical attitude. I feel like, to me, like, the gimmick of the generation is not what defines the generation. It's the pool of Pokemon. It's how they interact with each other. It's how the metagame develops. Natural metagame development. That's what I love. You know, I don't like when game design is like brute forcing this mechanic down my throat, and it's like, this is what this game is about. You are doing this mechanic. I think I like things to evolve naturally, which they kind of are, but it's centering around this mechanic that they're shoving down our throat a little bit. So in a way, I don't like that, but it's a new way to play in another way. See how indecisive I am on this damn issue? I keep saying I like it, I hate it. It's awesome. It's stupid. I think that the biggest point that I took from it is that, from Blunder's video, there are certain Pokemon that are broken even without the help of Terra. Even if there was no Terra, they would still be broken. And those are Annihilate and Chi-Yu. Terra does enhance them massively. Chi-Yu is like uncounterable with the fact that it can Terra. You cannot switch in against that thing at all. And Annihilate is... Honestly, I think that Annihilate is a bigger problem in OU right now than Terra. Annihilate itself is so stupid, so annoying. It's like the bulkiest thing in the world. It has the strongest move ever. I think that Annihilate is a bigger problem than Terra. Definitely. I also think Chi-Yu is a bigger problem than Terra. So, the focus being on Terra is kind of a shame, maybe. Maybe we should focus on, like, these problematic Pokemon first. I don't know. I'm not in charge of tiering. But anyway, okay. I should probably shush up now. I'm a bit all over the place. Hopefully I've gotten some of my thoughts out there in a way that's kind of coherent. As it stands, I don't know what I'm voting for. I think that maybe reveal Terra types in Team Preview would maybe be my preferred option now. I think that that would improve the experience, in my opinion. That would make something like a boost sweeper with a defensive Terra type a lot more manageable. Or something like, I don't know, Iron Valiant sometimes runs Terra Ghost to be immune to E-Speed, which can feel kind of stupid because it's like, it can be telegraphed sometimes. If they go to Iron Valiant in a situation where they would otherwise die to Dragonite, then, okay, obviously they're running Terra Ghost. But sometimes, that kind of thing is annoying where it's a Pokemon that has multiple viable Terra types, and sometimes there's no info to figure out which one they are. Like a Dragonite can disguise it, Roaring Moon. You can get clues and stuff, that's true about items as well. Like you don't always know what item they have, but you figure it out through clues. I think that with Terra types, it's more hidden, so it's more concealable. I think that reveal Terra types in Preview would solve a lot of issues. It would make it a better experience. It wouldn't take away from the ethos of the mechanic, if there even is an ethos behind it. I think they just made it and said whatever, but it doesn't take away from, like, what they intended. So, I think maybe that's my preferred one, and then we retest it later, we see what happens. I'm just tired of it, I guess, now. I'm like, whatever, just see what happens now. Maybe we need a bit of damn spice in our life. Sure, my Skeledirge can become Fairy type. What the hell ever. Send it all into the damn moon or whatever the hell. Burn it all up in flames. If I want a balanced experience, I'll go play Gen 3. Which is very balanced, very refined. Everything has an answer to everything. It's a beautiful game. But modern Pokemon isn't like that. Modern Pokemon's crazy. Everything's stupid. So let's just be stupid. Let's just embrace that everything's dumb. Whatever. It's like Gen 5 OU a little bit. I don't even know anymore. I'm getting tired of the discourse. And I'm just like... I guess part of me wants to watch the world burn and let's just make it as crazy as we can, I guess. I think I've changed my mind like 3 times mid-video here. This is the most contentious thing in Pokemon since like weather in Gen 5 was like crazy. But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. If this was watchable. Probably it wasn't. Probably this is the ramblings of a maniac who plays too much Pokemon. And I apologize for that. But if for some insane reason you're interested in becoming a patron, you can do so and end up on this screen. Thank you to the patrons. And thank you for watching. More videos about the Hisuian Pokemon coming soon. You guys love those. Hisuian Goodra. That Pokemon looks crazy. Hisuian Decidueye. That Pokemon looks awesome. That Pokemon looks epic as hell. I can't wait to use it. Goodbye. Goodbye, everybody.